Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be the third and final one in my How I Study for Exam series, and today I'm going to show you my exam day routine, as well as some tips that work for me when I am taking my exam. So I hope some of these tips can help you as well, and let us just get started. My exam routine starts the day before my exam. As I said in my previous video, I don't cram on the days leading up to my exams. I only do some light revision, so I usually do some practice problems, and if there's something that I struggle remembering, then I might do some reading as well. Then, after I'm done studying, I will make my checklist for the next morning. This is so important to me, because it helps me minimize the stress that I will face the next day, because I don't have to struggle with finding out which things to bring or not. So I write down everything that I need to pack in both my pencil case and my backpack, and this of course varies depending on which exam I will be taking. Then I gather all the stuff I will be bringing to my exam. So I will pack my pencil case and get all of my things and just put everything in one place so that I will easily find it the next day. I also pick the outfit I'll be wearing, and I make sure that it's something comfy. On the night before a big exam, I always try my best to de-stress. I see people online writing that you should study right before bed in order to retain as much information as possible, but that just doesn't work for me. Getting a good night's sleep before my exam is really important to me, so I try to spend the evening doing something relaxing so that my mind isn't racing when it's time to go to bed. The final thing I do is set my alarms for the next day. It's crucial for me to have lots of time in the morning, so I set my alarms early, and I set multiple ones so that I'm 100% sure I won't be sleeping through them. On exam day, I always wake up early, especially since my exams usually start at 8 or 9 a.m. and I have to travel for a bit to get to the exam venue. Even though I rarely feel hungry on exam day, I always make sure to eat breakfast before I go, because it is better to just be nervous than to be nervous and have no energy whatsoever. Then I put on my outfit that I picked the day before and pack my backpack, and I go over my checklist and cross out each item as I pack it. The reason why I pack my backpack the same day and not the night before is that I always want to be 100% sure that I have everything, and if I packed my bag the night before, let's be honest here, I would probably still go through everything again in the morning just to be sure. Then it is time to leave, and I make sure that I leave early so that I'm on time even if there are lots of traffic. Okay, so now I'm ready for my exam. And now, once my exam starts, I have two different approaches to starting my exam, depending on whether the exam is essay-based or calculation-based. If the exam is essay-based, I will start by giving myself time to read through all of the material I'm given, and as I read, I will write down everything that I think of that might be useful to include in my answer so that I don't forget it. Then, once I've read through everything and written down important points, I make a schedule for what I want to have completed at different times. What used to stress me out the most about essay-based exams was that I would easily get overwhelmed by everything I had to do, as well as the fact that there are usually no right or wrong answers in these types of exams, so I would have to figure out my own approach to things, and making myself a rough schedule has been really beneficial for me. So for example, I will write that by 9:30 I will have made an outline for my essay, by 10:30 I will have written the first 3 main paragraphs, and so on. And this also helps me in the way that I am able to focus on one specific task at a time. So then I'll just try to stick to my schedule and keep writing down ideas as I go. If I'm taking a calculation-based exam, on the other hand, my approach is totally different. So once I get my exam paper, I will just quickly see how many questions there are, and then I will immediately cover them. And this may sound like a very weird technique, but trust me, this is actually what helped me get a top grade on my last math exam. So what I do is I just look at one question at a time so I can fully concentrate on that question. I just find that if I start by skimming through all of the questions, I'm very likely to get overwhelmed if I see questions that I don't understand immediately. And then I find myself get stressed out because I subconsciously keep thinking about the harder questions that will come later on the exam, which may lead to me losing points on simple questions because I am not fully concentrated on what I am currently doing. If I am stuck on a question, only then I will move on to the next one, and I know approximately how much time I will have for each question because I started out by seeing how many questions there were in total. Just keep in mind that even though this technique works for me, it doesn't necessarily work well for everyone, but you might want to try this out when doing a past paper to see if it can help you. Finally, here are just some general tips and reminders that help me during all kinds of exams. I always go over each question with a highlighter because it just helps me to ensure that I read and understand the question correctly. The worst feeling is when you lose marks because you misunderstood the question, so going over it with a highlighter just helps me a lot with avoiding that. I also use the margin of the exam paper to write down things I usually forget. So for example, when I'm doing a math exam and I see a question on integration, I always give myself a reminder not to forget plus c. Giving myself small reminders just help me so that I don't miss any marks because I forgot something that I actually knew. My next tip is to bring something healthy to eat, especially if your exams are several hours long like mine usually are. And I have no shame, I go full out elementary school style with a lunchbox and everything because I know that I perform better if I give myself some extra energy during those hours in the exam room. And I would also recommend bringing a large water bottle so you can stay hydrated and focused, and also to bring some kind of fruit to give yourself some sugar. Another important tip for me is to have a technique that you know will help calm you down in case you get really stressed or anxious during your exam. I personally like doing a breathing exercise where I breathe a bit deeper than usual in a specific pattern. Just prepare some kind of technique that you know will help you if you start feeling overwhelmed, and if it is possible, then don't be afraid to ask to go out for some fresh air. My last tip is just to use your time well. I know it's tempting to just hand in your answer and go home if you're feeling like you're done and still have time to spare, but my tip is to use all of the time you have been given. Go through your answers one more time because it is so easy to miss marks because of silly details like forgetting a minus sign or misspelling a word. If I know I've used all of my time wisely, I'll also feel less stressed after the exam is over, so keep double and triple checking your answers if you have extra time once you're finished. So that is it for this series. I hope this has been helpful for you because these tips are what has helped me doing my very best on exams. I wish you the best of luck this exam season. Remember to be kind to yourselves and not push yourselves too hard. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week with another video.